Good morning, Suraj Singh. This is Suraj Singh from Faridabad, HCR Bharat, India. Engineering talk, professional engineering talk for our engineers, supervisors, foremen, and also all others who are interested to know about buildings. This book was written back based on practical experience, and I shall like to discuss with you about construction engineering issues, building issues, and before going to details, I like to explain to people about what is done in construction engineering on national and international level. I'm not very much impressed by what's done in national level because we people are set not to follow any system. It's not criticism, it's fact. What should be done on buildings, whether it's the private sector or it's the government sector, it requires a complete thought. What world is working and what we are working on are completely different. I got very much surprised when I moved here and there in my city and elsewhere and see rubbish quality of construction. It may be building or other structures. Complete rubbish quality, not acceptable quality wise, safety wise, and methods wise. Howsoever big company it is, howsoever big department of government it is, and howsoever big architect or engineer it is, all least bother about quality, compliance, or understanding of quality in this. It may be best to design, but construction is worst. In general, I am saying there may be some specific organizations which are working on international levels. I'm not just pointing them, pointing in general. I've taken many photos. For example, Faridabad city here, Smart City Limited. They are working a lot on infrastructure projects, but it's the quality and method of working. It's completely substandard activities they have been doing. I posted many photos on your website many times. Nobody cares. No one least bothers. No one least bothers even. Forget compliance. They think they are doing obligation on society. Many big companies are there, government related companies, they least bother. So keeping on this general situations that exist in our country, all over this nation, I am really unhappy with that. I'm fellow of Institution of Engineers this country. I have a responsibility towards that. Being a civil engineer, having experience abroad and here, I think it's my duty, I consider it my duty to at least disseminate what I know, just to tell people actually be careful. I've told many times in past, but I think people do not care. Public doesn't care, public do not care. That's unfortunate. And forget government, I least consider government of this because there's no one in government. There was no one government before also to think about what is done. There may be many institutions, there may be many organizations, all useless because they don't practically see, they don't see what's happening around, just the only theoretical seminars and congress and all that. There's no meaning at all. I started my career after diploma in 1975 or so four, and my degree I passed in 1980, and about around you may say 40 years overall working. I worked about more than 20 years in Middle East, Gulf, etc. And I know what's construction, what's design. I'm not expert in design, but it's multifaceted experience, you can say. I worked in field, I worked in design, I worked in office engineering, I worked in, you can say, plan, and many fields I worked in. Because in those days, when I started my career, there's no computer at home, no computer. We used to work on calculators, not too late. So working was different completely. I was in Iraq in 81, 82, 83, in Libya then, 83, 84, then went to Gulf. I worked many years there. So my experience is multifaceted. I worked with British guys, I worked with Gulf people, I worked with Arabic and Pakistani, all that, and different kind of experience I've seen. I have seen what people cannot do here in this country, we do overseas here, under compulsion of force. You're not interested to learn anything. No way you want to learn. Whatever I worked there in many years, I just transferred my knowledge into that book which I just showed you. This is not last book, it's just very elementary. Even those days when the computers even, I just composed it with the hard work and all complete handwritten script and I just checked that one. And this was, in those days, was no section, no quality, no safety, separate departments. Only one department was a construction department and design department. And engineer or site agent, you can call it, or you can say resident engineer in construction. In consultants language, if you say consultant language, there is resident engineer. If you say in construction, construction language or construction department, you can say site engineer or site agent. In consultancy, it's called resident engineer. Resident engineer means subordinate to engineer. Engineer means is a person. In construction language, in contract language, you can say engineer designation. As does, if you consider designation, I'm not talking of qualification or educational qualification, I'm talking of designation, which means engineer is a person who is appointed by client or by owner, or you can say a person who is promoter in contract sense, who takes responsibility for whole project of building or whatever, and he takes liability, assumes liability of its loss or profit, and responsible for everything finance wise, otherwise. That person, promoter, appoints one person called engineer in contract, and that person is responsible for designs, for its reporting, for its execution, prosecution, and completion and handover. That person is known as engineer, and that person is contractual engineer as well as you can say project engineer, and that person appoints many staff for him called resident engineer, and many specialist engineers for him and all that. And on the other side, there's a contractor who is recommended by engineer after tendering, and then the owner appoints that the contractor. So there's agreement of project execution between owner and contractors. This may be EPC contractors, maybe construction contractors, maybe someone else. It's different. This is then you say there are two parties. In fact, one party is contractor and one party is owner. Owner is party number one, contractor is party number two, and that's called construction contract. Whereas the project management contract is different, as a party one is for owner and party two is consulting company or engineer. Both contracts are different. This is just trying to tell you elementary what happens on this. It's a big job, the big documentation that is done on that. Just to understand, I'm going to tell you, I'm just briefing you what I in mind is. In those days, there was no planning department, no quality department, and no, you can say, safety department. Only department was construction, contracting, and designs. I worked in that time also, and now there have been bifurcation, trifurcation, etc. There's one project and there are departments such as construction department or planning department, or you can say quality section or department, procurement department, and many more departments like that, as safety and so many. Means there is no limit for that. It depends upon project requirement, and project is project. What actually project? You have to understand that also. Project doesn't come from tree or somewhere else. It depends upon your requirement of country's needs. Every country has different needs, and project means you have to promote a project for facilitating people of that area, and also to commercialize it both ways. If it's a welfare state, government does it, means no profit loss. But if it's a commercial organization, it carries also profit loss consideration both ways. So we can say what I'm talking, not total management here. I'm just going in between management as well as engineering, construction, etc. And that is very important for those people who are fresh or who are budding engineers trying to learn to build a career, because they are blank. In fact, when they come out university, even if there's internship, has got a meaning for me, because 6 months will not do anything, will not equip you with anything. So what you have to learn, sometimes you learn in 25 years or 10 years, 15 years, you cannot learn so many things that require technicalities you miss. You will learn site execution by weaving, not by understanding. So that is what happening. I just got this book into that point of view, and this title was Civil Engineering Building Practice, and this was just a book in which I defined what is construction and what were prefaces there, and I don't mean to tell you after knowing it all. I'm not going to promote this book here. I'm just telling you what I include in that. Promotion not by purpose here, because I'm not interested in that. What promotion? Everything is promotion. So in this, I put some chapters here. You can say First of all, I put one diagram, and that is management structure of project. I was just like that, This is way you can say this is that. A brief, you can say, a tree has been shown for purpose of management. How management is done? You can say kind of a tree. Well, it's in the old days, not now. Now it was different. You can consider it now also, but and there was a circuit which is there in circuit form. I consider that it's that form. How defines correlations between resident engineer, construction people. It shows that it's just small circuit which is telling what I intended to project. I also put this in one video last time long back. Maybe it's difficult to discover that, but I put all URLs in on text of this video here. You may discover, you may find out that. And what I mean to say is, this is I call it direct course building practice, and it's called, there are various lines, and it's even coordination, site supervision. Inside put certain lines, general coordination, materials and drawing submittals, site supervision, coordination and technical meeting, contract site meeting, coordination with statutory bodies, coordination with other non-contracting workers in same area, design section linked to engineers and honors use, and this is building practice, management circuit system diagram. I have taken on top design department, engineer, honor. Then I come down the next one. This is clerk of work, consultants, and resident engineer. And then down it is statutory body on the site connected to head office. And then this is, you can say, contract and other contractors, then subcontractors, agent, head office. All this. This is, you can say, small circuit for small project. It's not about big project. It's a multi-dimensional project. So this is just one information I put here. And you go further down, I would say that which three I showed to you. Same tree says that this is management structure project. This is first party in management, this owner, and first party management contract. You can say this owner, user, promoter, government, and first party in construction. That is, you can say, first party in construction, that is owner, and second party is main contractor. Similarly, owner is first party everywhere. And if you go down, all these are shown: project design office, project site office, agent in charge, etc. And various further down, residents are given there, whole locations are there, the titles are there, resident they are there, and you can say agent is there, both are at same level. Resident is site agent on the other side, and resident site engineer, project site office, and resident engineer down very many PC, and all that is there, which is for information purpose. So it depends upon you how you manage. And then I define what is civil engineering construction projects. Actually, I have so I bifurcated into many classes, and then I have gone to very coordination issues. What actually we have to do in field, just for information, because I'm saying that we have to do a lot of work in that. And in its start is here on that. That is a building practice, what it is. I'm saying construction project in itself is a wide term applied to products and engineering of any civil engineering requirement. We shall like to discuss various stages related to making of a building of any requirement use. And generally, a building project comprised of four major classes. You can say categories to conceive and visualize of an idea, aim to form a structure of optimum use with fruitful returns corresponding to capital investment and fixed duration. And this is technicalities, all engineering details and formations, and carrying work out on site, final form, and commissioning to use and operational maintenance. So these are four lines I have written. There are four categories. Once again, I clarify information so I understand that the consumer visualization of an idea, a dream to form a structure of optimum use with fruitful return corresponding to the capital investment of a fixed return. It can be a part of an architect or an engineer, both combination of a group. And then technically, it is all engineering details and formations, carrying work out on site to final project form, execution, commissioning to use, and operational maintenance. And let's detail this one a little more. It says comprises of architectural as well as artistic aspects of vision and various considerations, equipping all for whom work project shall be carried out within a hypothetical structure in the form of bird's eye view, perspective model as felt necessary by engineer, and other keeping in view a coordination opinion with an engineer of architectural discipline, and honor finally concluding proposal matching owner's budget and use requirements. In-depth discussion for that's not worth here. What I'm saying here is means I'm just telling what in beginning is done by engineer. When I say engineer, it means contract engineer, which includes architect also. This is contractual term, project term, just not engineering specialization. It means who is heading project. It can be owner, or sorry, it can be engineer as well as architect, both a combination of both. It's not meaning it's engineer qualified one. Then you say comprises of architectural planning and dealings for statutory bylaws, followed by structural designing and detailing, and further enriched by inclusions of all allied services, schematic details regarding electrical engineering, plumbing and drainage, civil works and mechanical works, and all external and internal works with proper landscaping, maintenance, and natural equilibrium for uses of all uses of proposed structure. And I'm writing in that class is comprised of operations which you can say comprises of operations which appear to common eyes that something concrete is taking place, as this stage includes complete tendering work or bidding work, contract award, and carrying works on site to final form and preparations of BOQ specifications, contract conditions, fixations of rates of various items, a lot of correspondences and exchange of information among various agencies interested to participate in project for their business. Real applications of visualization and drains on site to practical formation of structures, supervisions, payments, coordination, contract disputes, budget escalations, extras, substitutions, additions, deletions, alterations, export and imports of materials, financial dealings, accidents, compensations, exposure of all skills, investigations, research, experience, confirmations of theory of engineering, and various other factors. In this case, in this class appears that all actors working on one platform for one goal. And then fourth is comprising testing, commissioning, use, and maintenance of works. So these are four actually my own classified paths to how project works. It's not that it's given some management book. I, from my experience, just drew this, just to, you can say, rationalize for purpose of understanding to all those who join this field. Now I'll go to further explanation about this. Let's say explanations I'm giving in class 4 is comprised of testing, commissioning, and this stage class 1 and 2, which I explained before, in fact corresponds to mutual interactions among owner, architectural engineer, structural engineer, services engineer, specialist engineers, civil works engineers, drawing engineers, and statutory bodies, which are all indoor activities and of course do not result in much complications but concentration on paperwork, desk work, and in drawing and design office under direction of engineer in terms of contract. Actually, all approaches and ideas are on papers and everything appears to be smooth going as dream. At this stage, due to known availability of various facts, a number of assumptions are made subject to practical availability and design adjustments. Consequently, you shall find a number of changes at site during execution, followed by various instructions, particularly in some sections where every item is not feasible enough to be carried out per design standards. I'm just giving you a brief of actually what I have taken. This is a long one actually. I say stage class 3 says this is the most difficult class and shall be further divided into a number of activities or operations. Preparation of various bills of quantities, preparations of all building specifications, converting these into tender documents, shortlisting of tenders or bids or pre-qualifications, floating tenders. Sorry. I pause. Sorry. I should take some care, I think. No problem. Let me put my cap better. It's better than problem, yeah. So shortlisting tenders of pre-qualifications Floating tenders, their closing, scrutiny, negotiations, suitability check. My God, what's happening? 5 minutes. Floating tenders, their closing and scrutiny, negotiations, suitability check, and either rejection. I have to close, I think. Problem. Shortlisting tenders and pre-qualifications of floating tenders, their closing and scrutiny, negotiations, suitability check, and either rejection, reward by honor. Site handing over, commencement of construction, supervision and control till practical completion of contract. Complete site clearance by various agencies working on contract. Then snags, rectifications of practical completions, main work accomplished. Then you can say now stage 4, which is major testing and commissioning, which is very important. Maybe people are not clear about this. They think it's completion only. No, it's not that. Major testing and commissioning of all systems are carried out to satisfactions of specialist engineers of concerned disciplines for specified period in contract. Generally, 1 month commissioning is recommended by standards, and thereafter, manufacturer of built structures commences. That shall be done for a period of 400 days, or as agreed, as specified in different contracts. Final completion shall be issued by engineer to contractor on successful completion of a maintenance period in all respects as specified in general and project specification of consent contracts. Grant of final completion certificate shall be day where contract shall be termed completed contract according to certification. Now, certain explanations I'm going to give you regarding basic work. Then after designs are available every day, means we have got complete drawings issued for construction purpose from engineer office, or who you may call whoever is responsible as engineer for this project, or whatsoever you can say. It's based on, I'm talking of particularly construction in this case. I'm not going to talk of designs because design is very different departmentally. It's not generally, you can say, good to talk in detail so people, because only those can understand who are very well experienced. But when talking about construction, which people do without having any basis to designs. So let us consider what actually is done by those people who are work in offices for construction basis, you can say. Experience, explanation of various activities, operations are given following. So as I said in first one, preparation of various bills of quantities, I said. Now, what I'm telling is basics. We have a computerized world. Excel is there, many areas we can very quickly do that. But basics we must understand before attempting to do something. If we do not understand basics, means we do wrong. We have no concept, we cannot work. Calculation is not our way. Our work is not calculation. Our work is concept. Calculation can be done. It's no problem. Problem is basic concept. How we pick up all those, how we take off. Take off is very important. It's not take off flight, it's take off work, take off activity, take off measurement. So preparation of various bill of quantities, in short we say BOQ. This is a great deal of technical work, potential and performed by quantity engineers. We call it quantity surveyors, or we can say by whatever, doesn't make a difference. Question is quantification actually. Quantity engineers in consultations with engineers of different disciplines under final supervision of engineer, all based on detailed engineer's designs and planning and schematic details and project specifications as prepared by specialist engineers of respective disciplines. System of forming it depends on what type of construction contract shall be adopted, or as often in Middle East and other advanced countries, the trend in practice is to adopt itemized lump sum contract. Itemized lump sum contract, I shall explain to you later on. Wherein tenderer or bidder offers a fixed sum for accomplishing a whole job according to scope of works defined or mentioned in tender documents or bid documents based on rates of all items priced by priced by tenderer or bidder in provided bill of quantities. Practically, this form of contract is of great convenience to all due to it in having potential to reach various settlements of expected disputes, of additions, alterations, omissions, etc. On it also helps to evaluate amount of works done very easily without measuring work done on site and recording in measurement books because it is lump sum and if you agree the drawings are there all that. Now, all disciplines of building involved or structure as case B are included in one BOQ in general sequence, namely excavations, backfills, or in short earthworks, concrete works, reinforcements, forms, block work, brickwork, metal works, woodworks, electrical works, engineering works, plumbing and drainage works, decoration and finishes. I am calling works, it can be activities, doesn't matter. Miscellaneous and other works. If any, etc. and all summarized to concluding page sheet of bill. Last one. Basic advantage in this method is that cost of individual structures shall be known or is known separately and all variations would be decided with ease or with convenience. Valuation too shall not take excessive time as same is done observing percentages of items included in bill. Hard work done at time of preparation of bill of quantities of is over time of preparation of bill of quantities is over benefited by instant estimation or judgments on valuation and saves a great deal of taking measurements every time for making payments as done in other types of contracts having only one bill for all contract jobs. For making bill of quantity or BOQ, measurements from detailed drawings should be carefully taken off by quantifier or quantity surveyor or engineer in interest of fair treatment on job. When I say treatment to both engineer and contractor. In precedence to BOQ, preambles are itemized comprising of all probable expenses separately to provide an opportunity to bidder to price carefully. This may cover all expected expenditure contractor shall have to spend on contract per clauses in general as well as specific conditions and any other particular clause. Clauses may include expenditure or procurement of workers, staff, site mobilization, or some other advance money required by contractor before commencing job activities, procurement of machines, third-party insurance for workforce, accident benefits, leave benefits, various other benefits, and overhead expenses. Transport, mess or catering of food, drinking water, potable water, staff and workers' accommodations, along with creches, facilities to be provided for engineers' residence, engineer office and staff on site. It may include engineer's office, overheads, maintenance, car, rings, etc. Extensions, contractor staff, tasks, expenses, on compensations in case of death of one person, timely payments, programs, working and shop drawings, record as-built drawings necessary, liaison work, coordinations, telephones, telexes, meetings, electricity, drainage, fuel, gardening, fencing, special cases of prohibited site positions for obtaining entry passes, air passes in case of foreign employees, procurement, bank expenses, weekly and monthly reports, technical experts, and all other general and particular expenses for design of job. It's not essential that tenderer should price all preambles as that may be included in other parts of bill, but marked as included there if not included specifically for particular item. I'm going to the next one. I'll explain later on. Means I'm just reading it for your what is written there. I'm just trying to communicate to you. But the explanation can come later. Then no problem. It doesn't stop us from moving forward. In preparation of various building specifications, that's what I'm going to say now. Till now we just say quantification or composition of bills or constitution of bills of all structures which is related to payment or dispute involved in arbitration. And this is for preparation of various building specifications. This is completely technical one or engineering one. And remember, this is most difficult. This is very much a specific part of execution requiring use of deep technical knowledge. Significantly and precisely bifurcating to two shall be termed as general specifications and project specifications. General specifications relate to standard specifications published by public departments or some other competent organizations, generally known to all people practicing on contracts of building constructions, while project specifications are specified items for special uses in contract designs to serve a special requirement of user and detailed reference to engineer's details. It's a must to be made in writing that proceeding BOQ nomenclature of item and after tender bond as a summary of all project specifications. Materials required for those and source of availability for guidance purpose only but while using name of manufacturer or supplier. If so, it must be made clear that equivalence shall also be accepted to or with suspicion of nepotism or favorism. Addition of a sentence that specific or special material is provided shall be used for direction and instruction of manufacturer in all proprietary material cases, as some materials shall possess some time warranty for a fixed period, and also in case demonstration is required for purpose of training staff of user. For for purpose of procedure how to use and maintain for smooth functioning shall be beneficial to all for case of items execution. But whatever be included, length of writing should be given due concern, as very lengthy specifications often invite boredom by a reader who shall close after reading a quarter of that. Better avoid being better avoid it being a tool of wasted of time and syllabus of a subject of an engineering degree program. That's why engineers engaged in drawing or drafting specifications must be very senior and experienced professionals who can assess practical use of that. Also communicate maximum in minimum time to make it interesting for engineers on site. Refer that every time for discussions and executions and prosecutions. Must be very in a talented. He must be very talented, pragmatic, communicative, technically master of subject, and of course patient. So examples of specific items are, for example, epoxy flooring, X-ray rooms plaster, squash coats plaster, squash coats, kitchen equipments, suspended or false ceilings, carpeting, swimming pools, structural steel painting on surface, exposed to weather, armored plates, sports surfacing covering, comfort systems and high standing systems, engineering systems, electrical systems, mechanical installations, generally services systems designed by construction contractor based on specifications provided to contractor, lift installations, pump installations, sports equipments, any or some other uncovered in general works or architectural engineering department specifications, and many more. Just briefly I have given here. Then also next one is converting above documents to tender documents. This is technical and that was payment document. First one is the technical I just explained to you. I am now on narration of explanation of converting these documents to tender documents. In practice, tender documents comprise of tender forms, space for contract forms, various schedules of tenders shall be supposed to fill for support of capabilities for job, form for qualifications, form for site superintendents, by bidder or contractor, provision for information to bidder, tenderer soil investigation report for guidance of contractor, brief description of work required with purpose and importance, applicabilities of general specifications, special specifications or project specifications, all bills of quantities of complete tenders or bids, complete design specifications for systems for which first-class provision, installations and functioning is necessitated in job. Inclusions of technical graphs and minute details to make contractor aware to actually what is expected of a contractor. Complete technical statistics of electrical and mechanical designs and functioning without leaving any doubt to bidder. Complete sets of drawings in all respects, as explained before: architectural engineering, structural engineering, civil works, plumbing and drainage, electrical, mechanical, engineering, engineers details for complete proposals, bar bending schedules according to adopted codes, information felt necessary to be told and for efficient disposal of tender or bid, being clear all what is supposed to be done or carried out, corrigendums, any other instruction to be included by engineer or owner, or whatever clarification requested by bidder, etc. Practically, it has been observed that tenderers finalize bids at late time, at 11th hours, and a number of clarifications and checks bidders should do are missed. Just believing what is given in bill of quantities, for example, shall be all okay or reliable. And lack of technical coordination and ineffective quantity check brings price competitive, but may be due to bad luck of appointed contractor or bad work done by him. Quantities as found during construction to be much in excess, the contractor shall definitely be loser in that case on that account, and there shall be no way to raise claims in case of lump sum. Therefore, engineers' best effort would be to prepare tender or bid with greater degree of accuracy and take its own time, while tender should be given enough time for calculation of its price, of its bid price for best operation or work of resulting contract, which would be in interest of all parties. This was just precautionary statement. Now I'll go to another one, which is procedural statement to be conducted by engineer or owner. Shortlisting of bidder, or you can say professionally we call it grade-wide pre-qualifications. It's not practical for big size contracting work to invite all interested parties to offer bid or tender or offer price. That is, an open invitation may not be preferred, particularly for a general contracting work. Best approach is to call for pre-qualification for selection of shortlist for inviting to buy bid documents at interest of party for general contract, which means that selected contractor after tender shall carry out works of all disciplines as a whole, either by itself or by engaging subcontractors of approved category holding statutory licenses or authorities, but at risk of contractor only, as contractor be answerable and responsible to engineer and employer for proper execution of contract financially, liability-wise, and legally. After giving open invitation for registration for shortlisting, seeking information such as general details of contractor, organizational appraisal details, financial potential, technical potential, experience of contractor in contracting and of height of technical degree, of works executed by that party, contractor, assets of company, running works expected to come, staffing levels, particularly technical assets of company, such as laboratories, research centers, and whatever engineer teams know about that bidder should be filled or included in appraisal form. Engineer shall scrutinize submitted appraisal of party or candidate uh, and discuss with employer or owner. Later, make a list of selected parties and intimate to them about their shortlisting success. Whenever it is to be that they have to float a bid document, they have to send to all shortlisted parties to know about their interest if they so do in ask them to collect the documents for a fixed amount of payment, closing date defined, and amount for tender bid. Tender bond should be included in that information or letters. Great advantage for a civil engineer working in construction of buildings to work with general contractor company or firm for certain years in professional career. To proliferate technical knowledge of building construction as on turnkey basis, preferably along all disciplines of complete building, and escalate from narrow deliberation of supervising only or executing only civil engineering activities. Technical and practical coordination would provide person or engineer with great degree of dynamism and an elegant personality with command in field and in office. Next one I'm doing, this is just general one. I told you what you do, part of professional practice, and floating tender, closing, scrutiny, and negotiations. This is what I'm explaining to you, is all general, which you must have information of how to handle. In your field, nobody will tell you how you have to either understand by your experience, by observation. If you know this by from your knowledge, which you got from this book, for example, somewhere else, you will be able to respond to people with maturity. They may say that you know something. To prove that you're experienced, you must have certain knowledge. So I'm saying floating tenders, closing, scrutiny, and negotiations. Invitations are communicated to shortlisted parties or stakeholders, agencies in the form of letters exhibiting name of job, cost of tender, documents, date of tender closure, time of closure, budgetary reference, if belongs to government bodies, and tentative date to buy tender documents, with a mandatory condition that once tender documents are received by contracting company, submission of tender or bid of party would be necessary, or name of party shall not be included in next call of bid works. Sometimes this clause shall be a kind of burden about after looking into documents and assessing that party may not be interested to do that job, as it may not return them with expected profit or convenience, in which case tendency of bidders shall be to offer higher prices, so that tender is not accepted by owner. Sometimes it may be fruitful for engineer to obviate that clause and just write that in case tenderer does not want to offer price, document be returned, but cost of document is non-refundable. Tender may accept that condition and avoid unnecessary expenditure on closing tender for nothing. Sometimes tender may find job of return, but for short term and shall have to expand organization for short period and therefore may not be may not be no guarantee for more jobs after that to stabilize expanded organization not to continue use that for a short period. There may be no guarantee. Okay, tender may not like to close bid clause. You should be strictly adhered to for projects of national security where importance be given to instruct tenders to close tender with return of all tender documents in possession as issued may be sealed by contractor bidder as that document be returned to contractor when contract is signed. Okay, further is a specification is also included that in case the national security concern is there, tender shall not disclose any information about work or related to that to any or some third person, party directed or indirectly, directly or indirectly, by way of speech or in some other form of communication, as shall have the privilege, contractor shall have privilege of knowing complete details of job, being in possession of work and the documents other than parties related to for completion of tender closure may be subcontractors proposed, suppliers, supervisors, quantity engineers, agents or employees of contracting company. And tenderer shall make certain that persons or sub-agencies to whom related information is provided, supplied, communicated, shall also not in any form disclose, saying to anyone not related to with whatever circumstances may be or come what may, following that tenderer shall have to face rejection, cancellation of tender, or even cancellation of award or work at any progressive stage on consequence of breach of contract and necessary future action of either blacklisting or imposing or any some form of penalty. This is very strict clause and should be taken very seriously. Further stages, having received tender documents, tender's contracts managers, tenderer examines scope and contents being general, contract comprising all disciplines, namely architectural, structural, engineering, air conditioning and mechanical, electrical, plumbing and drainage, civil works, external works. It's not necessary that tendering agency might have all disciplinary divisions and its own and nice if agency got that on its own. That's preferable. A contracts manager on or assistant manager shall go through scope of work of other agencies to be involved in that job and request them formally to quote their competitive prices. This request should be made to number of approved agencies, sub-agencies holding statutory licenses. Requests shall also be made to various agencies in specified or specialized fields inside or outside country. Example, sub-agencies of for electrical, mechanical, air conditioning, plumbing and drainage, etc. may generally be available in country of concern, while other special agency be outside or located outside, and in many cases they have also their agents in that city where project is located. Contracts manager shall make available all information to the all said people and receive quotations in due course prior to closing of that of tender, date of tender. Contracts manager shall price his own items, for example, structural finishes, masonry excavations, or whatever items he may like to do himself and portion of building services. Special items on receipt of various quotations after doing comparison. Comparison may be done by assistant contracts manager or quantity engineer or quantity surveyors, having filled in all items and extensions done to cost column. Sum total of bill accumulated to summary incorporating profit margin tender price raised to final figure. That shall be quoted in tender form of documents which is normally included in beginning pages of contract forms following job schedule. Now I'm coming to tender bond. What's bid bond actually? It's a very important document. Means let me read it first and after that we'll explain it. It's a document carrying a guarantee for a fixed percentage of tender amount to be provided at time of tender submission, without which tender can be invalidated. In case tender is accepted and tenderer does not wish to accept to do job due to certain reasons, tender bond shall be forfeited or confiscated. Having reached final figure to be quoted as tender price, contracts manager shall fill up tender sum on form detailing amount in words and figures, both all machines to be deployed and organizational potential for job disposal, and brief descriptions of planning how or what way tenderer proposes to carry out job. It must be remembered that time of completion is given in tender documents and tenderer has to accept same. Tenderer shall mention in form of contractor superintendents names of all agents, sub-agents, deputy agents, project coordinators, site engineers, assistant site engineers or deputy engineers, general foremen, junior engineers, land surveyors, quantity engineers, etc., who shall supervise work headed by agent or site agent, and to whom engineer or resident engineer shall pass instructions to. Educational, technical, and practical qualifications on any special skills shall also be included. There may be many conditions in contract that bidder is or tender is supposed to have gone through complete details of tender before closing and submitting. For example, time of completion, time of payment, etc. Some contracts conditions may include time for payment as reasonable period after certification of valuation of work. Tenderer shall make sure whether or not he can afford he can afford to abide by conditions, contract conditions, and if so, bidder shall not include any condition on his own and submitted tender of a tender shall be treated as unqualified, while if there is some condition included by bidder or tenderer of its own before submission, bidder shall be treated as qualified and shall be a part of comparative statement to be prepared by engineer for honors considerations. It's not necessary that employer is bound to accept lowest tenderer or that tenderer to be accepted. No, it could be cancelled without assigning any reason whatsoever be case. Now go further. A job may comprise of hundreds of major and minor items, drawings, and every drawing carries certain numbers of reference and a list of provided in documents. List is provided in documents. Experienced bidder shall compare list of drawings to drawings delivered to contracted by engineer or bidder by engineer. Bidder shall also include references of all addendums and instructions received before closing of bid. Having closed bid or tender, it shall be sealed. All papers may be sealed by affixing company's seal, that is on drawings being returned. Bid forms, bond, BOQ, specifications, and then submitted and receipt is obtained. This exercise protects bidder from possibility of employer or engineer to make any concealed changes or alterations or additions in drawings. Employer engineer to make any concealed changes or alterations or addition to drawings. This is I'm repeating. BOQ and also specifications. Tenders are open in presence of all bidders, and a statement is prepared or can be prepared or be prepared, depends. Calling comparative statement of all bidders. It's general practice that lowest price bid is likely to be accepted, but it's not necessary, as number of aspects from practical viewpoints are concerned or considered. For example, lowest price bid may not be very well reputed, bidder may not be very well reputed, may not be financially sound, may not be having a very good track record, and may be debited with so many plus points. His price may be so low that practical feasibility of that work or job is doubtful. Then engineer and owner shall not risk stoppage of job at any stage or delayed progress to jeopardize owner's business or hamper financial returns of capital investment. This depends entirely on jurisdiction of engineer and owner to whom work be awarded for a smooth and quantitative functioning of completed works. Process between opening time of a tender or bid and signing contract is very flexible and long, which may involve a couple of months together. What actually happens in practical life is engineer first picks up lowest tender, checks reputation, past records, and if feels considers that price tender books reasonable. Directs concerned quantity and contract engineers to scrutinize tender contents. All arithmetical checks are carried out and errors found to be adjusted. If checked prices come more than quoted price, tender is asked whether it's still ready. If check price comes higher than quoted one, a reduction is done to bid price and bid price is informed. Various details are asked for from tenderer and agencies as mentioned in bid form schedules, and a check is carried out whether or not bidder is in position, including all associates, to prosecute the job successfully. Having ascertained all checks and negotiations, work is finally awarded to tenderer or bidder by formally communicating to bidder, who is now contractor, by posting an appointment letter or award letter, and a date is fixed to sign contract, or you can call execution of contract. In case engineer is not in favor of lowest priced bidder, negotiations are made to second lowest, and same procedure is repeated as explained earlier. subject to employer honors client's prior approval. I'm just reading further, I'll explain later on. Having received contract award letters, now action goes on to contractor's end. Previously, I just explained from engineer's end. Having received contractor award letter, bidder becomes appointed contractor with effect from that date of issue of that letter, award letter, for job in question. Subject to this final signing of contract form, award letter contains name of job, budget, references, date of job commencement, date of takeover of site, name of engineer's representative or resident engineer, contract completion date, that's practical completion, submit detailed program to engineer, that is normally considered 14 days from date of award. Contractor is also asked to submit curriculum vitae, or use in our language biodata, of all site personnel, key site personnel responsible for site supervision and for engineer's approval. This letter must be signed by engineer and copied to owners or employer, engineer's representative, consultants, and all related concerned parties to job directly, and this was called award letters. Having received this award letter, contractor comes into full dynamism, and particularly a period of first 2 weeks I need everyone to be fully alert and active, and for takeover site and to mobilize and to reach threshold to commence project. Now, significant to mention that before closing tender, an intelligent contractor or manager shall visit site if he is not conversant with surroundings to make checks of conditions, while sometimes as a matter of process, some urgent and necessary projects, engineer calls on a pre-tender date for a meeting with all bidders to apprise them of that site. It's just for information I'm telling you, should be done long back when site. Then it's like job, various aspects of job, and they are taken around site in case there are certain restrictions on account of site belonging to prohibited area zone. This is really a good practice on engineers' part to save a lot of confusion and communication and save time. All clarifications are given, and a final note of meeting is sent to all information confirmation and later forms part of documents. This is what I explained to you in this small paragraph is regarding which should be done at before tender is when tender is considered. Now come on to next. So site handover, commencement of construction, site handover by engineer, commencement of construction, supervision and control till practical completion of contract, complete site clearance by various agencies working on this contract. Before going to this, I just give a brief point. I'll give you, because this is very old book and very old procedure. Now it is process are a little different in quality system managers. Everywhere quality is very important. Safety is concerned. The quality system is changed. While Pioneer says that while bidding, you have to consider technical aspects as well as commercial aspects. It's different case now. This is what I'm telling is different one. This was when I was too young, and this book was published in 1990. I wrote it in 1992 and supposed 96. At that time, complete process were not available. But now what happens is, as I said, tender document. Now there are two types of process, and that one is called technical bid and one is called commercial bid. Technical bid means you have to submit this. I'm talking about big projects. I'm not talking about a small project building on. I'm talking about very, very mega projects there, where all disciplines are involved and cost is too high, and there are so many staffs and all that. It takes years, and you can say millions of dollars are spent on that. Multi-millions of dollars, $100 million, $200 million, $300, $500, like that. And that what happens is It is very important that you should know that only a competent contractor can be a professional contractor who knows job, who evidences before being awarded that he knows job, that contractor. And therefore, that bid is technical bid and then other one is commercial bid. Both documents are submitted either together or in gap. It depends upon engineer how accepts these documents. In technical bid, you have to prove your qualification, your experience, your competency that you are authorized or you are having legal status to carry out such jobs. Means technically you are sound, managerial you are sound, you understand what project is, you have to prove that you understand that, how you execute that, and all what sort of machines you have, what sort of resources you have, and what sort of past track you have. If you can prove all that you are worth being awarded this job, that's called technical bid. It's a very voluminous document for big projects, and that is submitted in one package, and in other package that's the commercial bids, and in some cases you have to submit technical bid first, and once they means once engineer is satisfied, honestly, yes, you are capable to do job, then you have to submit commercial bid, or both can be submitted together in two packages. So even if you same time is submitted, you have to price it separately. That's called commercial bid, and you have to submit one package of technical bid. That means technical bid with commercial bid equal to bid. That's what is difference only. Here it's not given because in those days this system was different, but meaning is same, destiny is same. First technical competency is a must, and then if you pass through that competency, you can say kind of theoretical competency, a kind of value competency, a kind of competency that you are professional one, you are not a layman, then you have to prove this that you are okay. After that you say I'll charge this price. That's called commercial bid. And those who qualify technical bid, only they are allowed to entertain with or to confer with commercial bid. This is what is different. So I'll continue then. Now let's take a side hand. Now say whatever explained till now was on papers or in form of communication, but now watchmakers action. Watch makes action means our time moves, or you say meter starts. And we come into play, everybody comes into play, all stakeholders come into play. It's obvious that employer or owner must have provided some form of consultancy group under control of engineer. That may be its own in case honors a government department or a statutory body or a lab or a local self-government or employers appoints a group under control of engineer or director so-called, or you can say group, you can call it. Generally, you'll find a consultancy group in operation on every important job or a project. Since engineer is fully responsible for job control, but practically this authority is delegated for actions to resident engineer, I'll explain it, or so-called engineer's representative or project manager or coordinator supported by assistant resident engineer, structural engineers, civil engineers, services specialist engineers, architects, senior and junior site, superintendents of works or clerk of works or supervisors, and assisted by administrative assistants. Immediately after award letter is done or it's received by contractors manager or contracts manager should arrange a meeting with consultant or group supervisors headed by resident engineer along with expected site agent, and having a brief about project appraisal, you can say, or you can call it kickoff meeting. Of course, contractor would introduce itself and company's achievements and expect consultancy group to introduce members. Site layout plan may be given, and contractor's agent should or may table site establishment temporarily, how they want to organize site for purpose of activities. For approval by consultant, this may impart a positive impression on group that contractor is not sleeping. This meeting shall result in general discussions, and contractors shall be requested to furnish details of curriculum vitae of all key personnel, material and shop drawings, submittals after contract documents are issued to contractors. Now, let's go further. Contractor should obtain contract documents immediately after award of contract, as contract is supposed to propose programs or schedules in period of 14 days of award. This meeting is normally conducted either in consultant's office or in engineer's office or employer's office as suitable. Meeting is chaired by resident engineer or can be by engineer, no problem, and minutes are circulated to all concerned parties, stakeholders. This henceforth shall be conducted at site and named as site meeting or contract meeting. Further on, worth mentioning supervision control as part of contractor, which is of utmost significance, and so too project should be contractor superintendent staff be the fittest to job requirements and right man is deployed for right job. Results would be very favorable for project or job shall look flying provided employer deals fairly in making payments and obliging on conditions of contract so that conditions are complied with. Site management, particularly on a building construction complex, is tough one and hard working continuous operations necessitating intelligence, dynamism, cleverness, characteristics on all members of executive team or contractor site team assisted by resident engineer and its staff. Now, the contractor or its staff engineer representative or his staff appears as a boss or bosses assisted by bosses. Nevertheless, clever contractors staff shall make use of their presence for assistance to help work progress smoothly but normally. This shall not be found on all sites due to lack of experience in staff of both parties, both stakeholders. Suggested that both parties should realize that they are on site to achieve a common target to be delivered to honor in a fixed time. This understanding should be captured by professional people or engineering staff and personal unwanted relations developed on site be set aside, submitted to smooth and better working relations. Always there exists a misunderstanding or a degree of misunderstanding among young engineers, but by virtue of obtaining further tutorials in form of practical experience after being rolled from one job to another job and then to another is generated required understanding, naturally making engineer experienced and mature. We shall always find a mature engineer, a patient person, and handling problems without much worries, but decisively and expeditiously. Since contractor is fully responsible for complete execution of contract job to engineers specifications and designs, it's very important status to be disposed of or to carry out. In case contract is of general nature, wherein all disciplines operations involved in building are to be carried out, a great degree of competency is needed or required for disposal of following responsibilities efficiently. And these are: now I'm talking about certain valued responsibilities and project responsibilities which are a must. Even if you do not want, you have to do that. Let's say let us say coordination, which is, say, number one, architectural and structural coordination is number one. Structural and mechanical coordination, number two. Electrical and mechanical coordination, number three. Structural finishes and electrical coordination, number four. And structural plumbing and drainage coordination, number five. Services and finishes coordination, number six. External services, external works coordination, number seven. Services liaison to statutory body coordination, number eight. Structural and structural coordination, number nine. And there are many more. I'm just briefly taking this one. There will be many more now. Building management is there, or you can say digitalization is there. So many more, but these are basics when I'm telling for construction. But there are much more in detail, so you can interface it and all that. Means systems and external service, all that. Those are all different. These are the meaning procedural when I can say you must understand all this. Liaison. Number one, main contractor subcontractor coordination. Number two, subcontractors and subcontractors through main contracts. Number two. Number three is main contractor, consultants, group, and engineer. Number four is contractor, other contractors working in the same site. Number five is main contractor and engineer. And number six is main contractor, local statutory bodies. These are all these. We'll just work on this later on. Now I'm saying foregoing explained descriptions are only for few, but there may be many more. Others depending on nature of size of job. Now we will discuss kind of contractors organization in normal cases, but may vary from place to place and project to project. Contractors organizational layout has been included in following. Now I know just something. Let us say I'll show you then, which I already showed to you. This is a kind of a small tree, or you can say organizational layout, which is this one. I'm sorry, this one. I think this is that. But I'll speak this one out because we cannot take from this one itself. I'll speak loudly so that you may understand what I'm saying. Because this is very old book and there's no soft copy available with me, so that I can post here. I don't have an. It's lost actually. It's just hard copy. I cannot type it. Everything I can draw again. This was done manually in 92 to 96. Remember, I started writing this in 92 when I came back from Iraq. 1992. Remember how many years back? 28 years back. Then it was published in 96. So everything, it took 4 years. There's so many diagrams in this, just it took time and everything manually. So no computers were there. Just typing computers were there. Contractors. I'm talking of contractors organizations. There's a contracts manager. Let us say contracts manager, you may call it project manager or whatever you may call it, doesn't matter to me. Question is responsibility is important. Now let's say there was a site agent. There was a chief quantity surveyor, or there was office manager for administration purpose, and there was garage for technical repairs and all that. Now, under site agent, who is site in charge actually, or you may call contractors project engineer or project manager, you may call it, or site manager you may call, or you may call it construction manager, or you may call it site manager, by whatever name you call it, doesn't make a difference as far as work is done. Then you could call at that time was deputy agent below that, or plant engineer there, and site engineer there below that. And then there will be sub-agents, general foreman, storekeeper charge, timekeeper, operational drivers, clerks, etc. That's below deputy agent. And you can say plant engineer there below site agent, and there's the mechanics, and then below site is the technical site, and that's assistant site engineer, quantity engineer, junior engineer, foreman, qualified, land surveyor, workforce. This was there. And then it's on the chief quantity section. If you go, there is an assistant quantity surveyor or quantity surveyor, and type is for those people. Those time there was no computer, so type, everything was manually, so that's why it's the old one. But you must know that. Then office manager for administration purpose, and then accounts and cash and office secretary is there, and then garage means repair work, all that, plants and mechanics and so. So it's all very minor for in those periods. So that has been expanded now, but let us consider this a preliminary. Now let us see what is agent. I'm calling agent, site agent or contracts agent or by whatever you call it. Question is, agent means representative, nothing else. Agent doesn't mean property agent, means agent means responsible one under contract. Contractor's chief executive on job site is designated as agent. Contractor's agent or site agent or contractor's representative or site manager for that project. Agent shall be responsible for job in an overall manner, answerable to contractor, to resident engineer and consultants group, and to engineer also if required or necessitated. Agent has to dispose of a group of duties of complex nature and technicalities or engineering. Agent on buildings project must be technically competent, administratively sound, and dynamic, energetic, and possesses many other secret eyes. Shall be bound to be financially responsible in business as well. Some contractors do not want contracts managers, wherein that case part of contractor's manager's responsibility also is included in agent's duties. Agent acts as a superintending engineer as far as technicalities and coordinations are concerned, which have been explained earlier, I told, and other minute duties listed and be further elaborated. This means that only holding merely an engineering degree or academic qualification is not adequate, but a specialist tutorial qualification as experience or pragmatism on contracts of buildings to successfully match job requirements. Since agent is a manager of site, duties are listed as I'm going to explain to you, but shall not be restricted to that one only. I'll just list out this. Let us say in old times, number one, main site diary. These have been changed, but let us understand each and everything. If you don't understand past, we cannot understand future and present time. Maintain site diary. Number two, daily report submittal. Number three, material submittals. Number four, shop and working drawing submittals. Number five, weekly programs. Number six, quarterly programs. Number seven, complete programs. Number eight, revised programs. Number nine, monthly progress reports. Number 10, monthly technical and coordination meetings. Number 11, monthly technical and coordination meetings internal for contractors. Number 12 is general meetings. Number 13 is special and instant meetings. Number 14 is site memorandums. Number 15 is site instructions. Number 16, engineer's instructions. Number 17, valuations for completed works. Number 18 is subcontractors valuations. Number 19 is reflected ceiling plans. Number 20 is as-built record drawings. Number 21 is request for inspections. Number 22 is test reports. Number 23 is a concrete pour records. Number 24 is material test records. Number 25 is material status schedules. Number 26 is drawings status schedules. Number 27 is complete coordinations and license related to allied services of departments or local bodies. Once again, I repeat quickly. Now, I will not speak number, just speaking. Maintain site diary, daily report submittal, material submittals, shop and working drawing submittals, weekly programs, quarterly programs, complete programs, revised programs, monthly progress reports, monthly technical coordination meeting, monthly technical coordination meeting internal for contractors, general meetings, special instant meetings, site memorandum, site instructions, engineers instructions, valuations for completed works, subcontractors valuations, reflected sailing plans as will record drawings, requests for inspections, total test reports, concrete report records, material test records, material schedules, drawings schedules, complete coordination and license related to allied services departments of local bodies. Now we'll go to internal dealings with contract organizations. This is about site agents, I told you. These are title, or you can say a gross list. Now let's go further into that for having better understanding. See, understanding is more important rather than cramming. Concept should be clear. That's more important. Internal dealings with contractors organizations. This is what I told you before, this with complete management. This is now your own shop, your own company. Who's paying you? Number one, material requirements procurement. Material requirements procurement, number one. Number two, coordinations with garage, stores and workshops, etc. Number three, daily reporting to head office for obtaining various records, pending for submissions, approvals and coordinations. Number four, coordination with main quantity surveyor. Coordination with main quantity surveyor responsible for job in case same is not based on site for medium-sized jobs. Number five is coordination with office manager and other staff. Number six is coordination with contracts manager if allowed, if included. Number seven is solving other miscellaneous labor problems and coordination. Number eight is coordination with other engineering sections of company to take or give any machine or any material involved on that job or workforce adjustments. This is general. Then dealing at site. This was previously I told you regarding overall, then I told you with your management, on management, and now it's on site, which is also a different one. Number one, daily program. Number two, daily supervision. Number three, daily material order. Number four, solving instant problems. Number five, solving problems with consultants and pursuing matters to solutions. Number six, solving staff disputes and making necessary orders in interest of job. And number seven, labor bills for wages and overtimes and leave sanctions. Number eight, labor working on contract valuations to be kept moving. And number nine, preparation of reinforcement bending schedules. Number 10, proposing alternatives to resident engineer for discussions and approvals. Number 11, technical study of job and instructing site engineers when required. And number 12, daily meetings and general liaison as required. These are on-site activities. These are all managerial activities, remember. These are not layman activities. Now, elaboration of coordinations as pointed earlier. See, now I'm going to start very important topic, this one. This is actually not something that you can find in books. This depends upon how you handle job, how much technical base do you have, and if you don't have, how do you evaluate yourself and import remaining deficiency you have. Because it's not a job, it's not a game, it's no cricket, no football. It is construction, it is engineering, it is management, it is handling material, it is handling human resources, it is handling time, and it is response. If due to your lack of coordination, if due to your ignorance of job, if due to your ignorance of system or whatever, if material is lost or damaged, if you lose time, or if you lose whatever else, ultimately it costs. It costs money wise, it costs loss of natural resources, and it costs loss of time, and on top of that, loss of reputation of your person, your being engineer, and your company who employs you, and also those who supervise you. Everywhere you defect. That's why it's not simple to be an engineer. You must be competent engineer. Competent in the sense you must have self-confidence. Job can be done by everybody, but job should be done in a specified way, in a design way, in a quality way, in a safe way, so that job can be said to have been done per requirements, per charter. I have not discussed charter, it is there. We'll discuss later on charter of project. I am now only inclined for contracting personnel because contractor is most important. If contractor doesn't work, consultants fail, engineer fails, work fails, and everything fails. And contractor earns losses. Question is not a profit making. Question is upgrading, upholding status of project. Once you deliver a project, you must say that I have delivered or we have delivered professional project. Professional delivery it is. It's not lemon shop. I'm not delivering tea or coffee. Even if I deliver coffee, I'll make it according to my design or ratio of recipe. So it is very important. Simply calling yourself engineer doesn't make you engineer. Having a degree or diploma or managers or whatever certification does not make you engineer. Your competency makes you engineer, and your competency cannot come from an institution or someone else. Your competency can come only by your own character, by your own understanding of job, and your mental sharpness, and your commitment, dedication, and involvement. You cannot measure your competency in relation to how much you are earning. That has nothing to do with competency. You may earn rupee $1, or you may earn $1 billion. I do not consider in relation to competency. Question is what sort of job you deliver, you produce, that is more important. How accurate it is, how reliable it is, that's more important. As I said earlier, reliability is very important, which equals safety plus serviceability plus durability. I'll discuss that later on. I have discussed many videos, and it must be done. Now this is because a professional video, this is not related to economics or something else. This is a video related to engineering and construction, and it's very much professional. And if we do not respect this, means we can't be called engineer or whatever. Designation doesn't mean you are engineer. Your product should tell you are engineer. Your delivery should tell you are engineer. That is called competence. All right. Now, I am just writing in this what I can say on the elaboration of coordinations, and that is architectural structural. You may say it is nothing. No, it is something. Now, contract drawings, I'm calling them contract drawings now. Well, the standard drawing or later on contract drawing, same thing. Contract drawings comprise of architectural, structural, building, allied services, civil works, and miscellaneous works. Architectural details should be related to structural details, and in case of discrepancies being discovered, that should be informed to resident engineer or related structural and architectural engineers, you may say designers, and remedial engineers details obtained. Structural details as included as engineer's details cannot be followed blindly since these drawings are used on architectural requirements and details as in engineer's design. Having brought that in notice of resident engineer or engineer, it's up to resident engineer whether or not alteration is to be made on engineer's details. But a site memo should be requested by site agent to confirm instructions to protect contractor's skin. In this case, there can be no claims raised due to aberrations as same should have been examined before closing bid. It's only technical correction, it's not, you can say, claimable correction. General practice adopted is that alterations or adjustments are done to structures and recorded on as-built drawings. Be clear and note it that this can be done in one go or all in parts of project since it's not practically possible to have to overload work on site as well as low staff strength on site. That doesn't match your quantum of work. Tendency of every contracting company remains to maintain minimum staffing level on site to make economy, but this practice of comparing drawings should be carried out continuously, particularly by site engineers or project coordinators of contracting company who are responsible fully technically for part of project site assigned to them or him. Moment site engineers discovers Moment site engineers discovers any discrepancy or whatever discrepancy, immediately one has to bring that to notice of site agent or coordinator who would get discrepancies remedied by resident engineer or specialist engineers. Site engineers may directly contact resident engineer or engineer or specialist engineers if so procedure allows. Site engineer may directly contact and let decision taken or finalization reached by communication, and that communication be done to agent or coordinator later so that site head is kept informed. Now to a new structure. To a new structure, coordination may not be that difficult, but complexities arise when a structure is existing one and alterations and additions are to be carried out. For example, an existing shed made of structural steel framework and old walls of cladding and roofed with old sheets requires to be dismantled partly, altered and extensions be carried out in existing as a new structure to both directions. New design incorporates new structural steel framework of different sections in portion to be extended and alterations in existing framework. A RCC slab shall be added between floor level and eaves level to act as a balcony to gymnasium below. Existing old walls shall be converted to sheet cladded wall. This is case where an existing shed is to be converted to a modern sports club or complex. Main contractor decides to award structural steel work to and wall sheet cladding work to two parties, both in different countries, located in different countries, due to quotations being lowest. Contractors managers Contractors manager presumes that both contractors, supplier or subcontractors are sincere and would coordinate efficiently. Contract subcontract further provides a clause that structural steel subcontractor shall supply material while erection shall be carried out by main contractor himself. Steel sheet cladding subcontractor shall supply as well erect and finish product supplied by himself. On demand by structural steel, subcontractor site agent communicates all technical information to him. Sheeting cladder subcontractor measures all details from site personally. Drawings of structural steel are submitted for engineer's approval, who in turn comments on submitted working drawings. That approval is made subject to coordinations conducted with cladding works. Two subcontractors are not found very cooperative. Practically, cladding man submits drawings and there is a lot of confusion, but consultants and digital engineer approve them, commenting that approval is granted subject to coordination is done. You can expect that what shall be fate of that site during prosecution of execution. During progress, many problems do arise. Alterations and adjustments are conducted, are done. This kind of job particularly requires very close coordination to avoid some loss to miscoordinations, due to miscoordinations, which shall contribute to time wastage only. Now, this is just an example. There can be many one. I'm going to just tell you methods, how to do. Structural, mechanical, engineering. I'm going to do this. Engineering works. Engineering works involve elements of centralized air conditioning systems comprising of supply and return air ducts, volume control dampers, attenuators, fire dampers, and various other fittings to pass through either structural walls or webs of structural frame beam coming in duct roots or ducts penetrating beams. It has been made clear that contract drawings or tender drawings issued for services shall be converted into working drawings from their being schematic drawings. And also, in contracts, a clause is also included that for complete air conditioning system, contractors shall remain fully responsible for design, installation and commissioning, and also maintenance to first class standard of functioning. Therefore, complete responsibility for functioning goes to contractors, who shall be supported, who shall be supposed to design, install, coordinate, and commission. Therefore, while designing sizes of ducts, air conditioning ducts of air conditioning contractor must request agent or main contractor to provide complete information of all structural beams and all other details, one things necessary for purpose of coordination. Maybe ceiling height, room height, or level of beam soffits, etc. All are required for coordination of that one. One must carefully study structural details for fixation of sizes and duct routes, which would assist in saving of many reroutings, as is often experienced. Simultaneously, one shall look into technical aspects of discipline. For example, velocity of cool air should be maintained within limits. Remember, no structural engineer shall permit pass of duct through structural beams of RCC, particularly where large shear forces and bending moments are resisted by beams. In case air conditioning In case air conditioning contractor inevitably requires designed size of duct and structure is not built up at that time, structural engineer at his technical will in consultation with resident engineer and engineer may alter size of beam to accommodate beam in isolation with duct space provision. But there shall remain no choice once structure is built. Location of heavy machines such as chillers should be done on such a manner that loads are uniformly distributed on beams designed for that purpose. Now, electrical, mechanical, engineering coordinations. One more thing I should say, engineering means HVAC engineering in general. Air conditioning and HVAC are generally called engineering also. Now, electrical, mechanical engineering coordinations. This part of coordinations is in fact a cumbersome process, and in particular when these disciplines are in hands of different persons, contractors or subcontractors. Since contract drawings need be converted into working drawings, because contract drawings are schematic drawings, these are converted to working drawings, which shall be drawn on basis of details of equipments to be installed are available or not available, you have to say. Most of items may be imported and economical decision to finalize purchase order would take a long time. Conditions in main contract that shop drawings be submitted in a period of 60 days of award or some other such period of prescription would remain for mere description if parties or stakeholders involved are not ready from very moment of bidding an award, and result shall be that these drawings would not be completely approved even after a couple of months of job start, helping in delaying job. Always there should be a pool of submission drawings before every monthly meeting by contractors to protect their skin from minutes of unsubmitted drawings, which is not a good professional practice. You should regularly submit those drawings and stress on that from proficiency viewpoint. Now coming to reflected ceiling plans. What is reflected ceiling plans? Now I say air conditioning ductworks, diffusers, splitters, electrical light luminaries or fittings. Details are of much significance, directly related to coordinations, and these plans cannot be finalized in absence of all foregoing information, foresaid information, and technicalities involved. Lame excuses by different stakeholders to disciplines shall not serve any purpose, if made just to defend skills and not contribute progressively for item. Agent should have to tighten, to grip everyone involved for that, or else shall be in a problem himself. This item shall involve various other factors, then talk about reflected ceiling plan, such as size of ceiling tiles, which should be in match sizes of AC diffusers, splitters and sizes of luminaries should match tile modules. Also need provision of equal intensity of illumination everywhere, so positioning of ceiling lights be done that way, in that style, and also diffusers should not be very near to luminaries as a matter of safety of light fittings, which should mean repositioning of lights and diffusers. Then size of tiles, I mean to say ceiling tiles, shall dominate pattern of fixing tiles in ceiling per architectural requirements. Architects shall not like to see so many cut tiles in room or in center. Therefore, this is very complicated exercise and must be done very carefully. There could be situations where already laid duct roots clash, fixing of some other, fixing of any of following items, and blame comes from related subcontractors that reflected ceiling working drawings were not provided in time, and agent would be in a problem as contractor may find claims from the subcontractor for compensation for readjustment of duct duct roots due to late approval of ceiling working drawings plans. Agent can realize what shall be his position in that case and may be same amount debited to agent or he may be fired. Situation would be more. Situation is more worse when false ceiling man or operator or you can say false ceiling stakeholder person is not ready in time with details of sizes and all other requirements to be passed to reflected ceiling programs. Practically suspended ceiling plans before making final drawing. Submittals should be sent to electrical mechanical engineering contractors for purpose of obtaining no objection clearance from them, in which case they shall not be in a position to raise any claim against contractor. After obtaining approval for positions of light fittings and diffusers and splitters, drawings are finally sent for submission to resident engineer and thorough examination are made by group consultants. Group consultants would make various comments on these drawings which should be incorporated at an earliest and approvals obtained after making of resubmissions. This operation requires a great degree of cooperation among three and prompt action on part of all in interest of job, but this is seldom found, seldom witnessed. You may find that ducts drawings are provisionally approved with comments and later altered due to false ceiling adjustments and intensity of illumination requirement, which is really unpleasing situation. An agent earns a bad reputation or impression. This contains a high potential of negligence in case agent is a qualified engineer and virtually a project engineer and that is supposed to help self. Other parts of major technical coordination exists between electrical and mechanical items. Engineering contractor installs a machine according to approved design. Electrical contractor must know sizes of adapting cables to isolators of machines. Generally, connections from machine input to isolators are done by mechanical engineering contractor, but thorough specifications must be made available to electrical contractor to enable that person to make make required material for approval and procure in time to avoid any delay. There may be various type of machines in air conditioning and mechanical works. For example, air handling unit, that's called AHU, chillers to contribute combination of compressors, chiller, which is a combination of compressors, evaporator. I'm just saying chiller. Chiller is a compression plus evaporator plus condensers and fans. Pressurization unit, pumps, extract, fans, etc. In each case, detailed advice is not made in time and both parties do not agree on exchange of technical statistical information to satisfaction in systems feasible operationing. A likely delay would be expected and main contractor would be in unpleasant situation. Now let's go to structural finishes electrical. The structural finishes electrical. Normal coordination and all information should be supplied to electrical contractor or representative on site whenever asked for. Complete set of drawings must be made available to electrical contractor at time of making submittals of shop drawings. Many times, electrical person shall have to deviate routes of cables, wires, and change positions of switches and sockets depending on positioning of finishes and furnitures. Locations of switchboard, MCB, transformers, etc. must be explicitly defined. All such changes should be recorded in as-built drawings. Light luminaries should be installed in a geometrical pattern to architectural items. Light should match ceiling tiles, modules, laying of conduits and in concrete before pouring and inspection. I have used as-built drawings. You must be very clear first of all what is as-built drawings, because in our country it's something miraculous or people do not know what's as-built drawing. Maybe now they know it. One is drawing in general called schematic drawing. Means you scheme something in service. I'm talking electrical, mechanical, building management or plumbing, water supply or whatever else is there. LPG means whatever service building which is got to get some engineers or building in all disciplines. Drawings are issued by engineers in completely different equipment type and the schematic time is we require this one. And what happens, specialist quantities, especially in that particular discipline, that takes up complete that, and depending on loading and all of the details they work out as a part of shop drawing, and then they decide how routing of that is, and that's called shop drawing or working drawing. How that drawing part is given further details of the working drawing. Let's go to fabricators or let's go to other people who just work out on this working drawing. The shop drawing is their working drawings. These are drawings, and there could be further changes on site due to customization of site or due to some requirement due to clash or resolution due to coordination, and that changes are recorded on that drawings. Those changes are recorded as red lines, and not simply recorded, but these are approved by both parties, by owner party, that's the engineer, as well as by contractor. These are on records in form of red lines documents. Red lines means this was made changes during execution of those items, the prosecution of those items, and these red lines at end or regularly are incorporated onto scheme drawings or contract drawings. These red lines are included there, and that complete red lines on whatever drawing are finally declared as built drawing, because this way this was built, and that's called record drawing, and that is a permanent document. It's not temporary document. As built or record drawing, this must be available on that project, as well as if some authority is concerned, this must be available authority or statutory body, municipal corporation, local body, or whatever regulatory body is there. If that is required, means you can say it's a kind of public document, because accessible to public, it's a government project, some other project, or it's a road project, some other project. where such drawings are available. And all these changes must be recorded as you can say, as-built drawings. As-built drawing in future would tell you where services are, is something else, or if you can take current layout, you have to compare with that. But unfortunately, in our country, everything is in God's hand. Don't worry about anything. Excavate, break it, and make it. This is happens. I've seen almost they are just doing machine and excavating and breaking water line, breaking sewer line, breaking cable and all that, and then connecting them. This is our big country, and people are like that, and you don't understand what's required. So required, we are solving it, but don't have experience. We don't value anything. It's not question of criticism. This is technical talk of you. You must understand. We are losing. We lose money. We lose time. We lose everything. Just materials and no quality, no system, and that system is absent. We have to just think of systemizing everything. Well, it's not my problem alone. Now, we are going to structural, finish electrical. As I told you, I was talking about as-built drawings, and so I'll come to structural, plumbing, and drainage. I'm just trying to tell you all coordinations. You may understand or you may not understand. It depends upon your intellectual level. It's depends on what you learned in your engineering or what you learned failed. If you cannot understand, then no one can help you, because you are not a small person. You are an engineer, and engineer has this. If engineer cannot do this, don't call yourself engineer. I don't care for a certificate. Okay? If you understand this, you can use your mind. You conceive. You have to use your brain. This is purpose of engineer, or otherwise there is no meaning of engineer. If you cannot use your brain, if you cannot take risk, you cannot control, you cannot explain, you are not engineer. You have to be a thinker first. Engineer means thinker. Engineer is no layman, remember. Engineer must be a thinker, because you are doing everything yourself. This is common coordination, that is structural, plumbing, and drainage. This is a common coordination and well known to every civil engineer working on building projects. In industry, though we do not call industry in our country, but industry is industry. It is work done by people and by resources, so it is industry virtually. Adjustment of levels to structure and in foundations, routing of water pipes through walls and floors, naturally drainage pipes at ground floor level are concealed underground, and inward levels dictate depth of footing at certain positions. Pass of a drainage pipe through footing and strap beams should be avoided, and same be passed beneath the base level of footing. Sometimes it's necessary to take pipe through structure. In that case, structural engineers should be consulted and extra provision be made for re-strengthening reduced section of that structure. Above ground floor level, sanitary pipes generally pass below slab soffits and sometimes below beams as well. In every modern building, suspended false ceiling is provided, and enough space can be found to accommodate sanitary pipes. Care must be taken that proposed space for air conditioning ducts, false ceilings, hanging wires, and electrical cables, trunkings, and trays, etc., are not encroached upon, for which a close coordination of affected zone is required. Only additional cost to be borne is cost of providing steel brackets anchored to slab and pipes resting on brackets. In fact, internal drainage and water supply is a complicated operation requiring high degree of engineering skill and patience. Approach of consulting architect is to see water pipes concealed in walls, structure, or in finished elements, and embedded in floorings, for which due care must be exercised to maintain technical general specification of related public works departments, which shall be necessary for obtaining clearance for supplies. In this field, sanitary works should be dealt with by an experienced foreman or engineer as chances of mistakes are too high. Material submittals should be done carefully, according to program schedule. Should items misordered, delivered, and even missold, test result shall reveal worthiness and replacement would jeopardize contractor and working of system. So sanitary and plumbing should be treated special element in civil engineering construction for building project. Drainage coordination is equally important. Part work, since part work is preceded, since this part work is preceded structural progress. Site foreman and engineer shall take care of activities and inspections to be done at right time. Avoid delay in construction activities. Providing blockouts of cubicle seats and units at time of erection of formworks, maintaining top level of trap flushes or 5 mm below first level finished floor at located areas. Tests should be carried out promptly and approval obtained in time. Services and finishes. I was just telling structural, plumbing and drainage, now services and finishes. It's also very important. Mm. Maybe you are feeling bored, no problem to me. Engineering is boring. It's not Phil. You have to use your mind, and if you do, you don't use how you use your mind, better don't join engineering. If you think only money making is life, don't go to engineering. You waste your time. Engineering is a sacrifice, in particular civil engineering construction is a field of sacrifices. In a building, every facility is intended to be included, namely telephones and intercoms, fire alarm system, call bell systems, public space systems, building management systems, drinking water, foundations for public buildings, minor irrigation planters, water boxes, gas supply, water supply, internal drainage, air conditioning, etc. But not important criteria to accommodate these requirements is to see that architectural appearance internally as well as externally is not aberrated. Should any deviation is considered essential due to site conditions, prior approval of resident engineer and concerned architect must be obtained and recorded. It's worth noticing that idea on papers many times cannot be practically formed into practicality on site due to various constraints, factors, and a compromise is must. Actually, technical coordination drawings are prepared for such situations for, for all services and approvals of working drawings obtained to make a record in as-built drawings. There may be occurrences in clashes among services of different disciplines. Only ways to reach an agreement to satisfaction of all parties concerning as explained. Telephone ducts need per statutory bylaws in some states to be approved and inspected by authority. Even in some countries, telephone duct of standard sizes, namely 90 mm diameter, is supplied by telephone department to, to convenience of connecting to standard branches. In such cases where specification stipulates agent has to procure according to requirements by contracting telephone authority officials. Mm. Late duct having duly been fixed, stacked by erected, telephone inspector should be invited for, for inspection, approval obtained, resident engineer and consultant accordingly informed. We noted that in such situation, in statutory bylaws, application or applicability situation, consultant's approval is not final, even though resident engineer grants approval, but it has no validity to an extent telephone department or such services are concerned. They shall not accept connection for purpose of installation of telephone line or other such service where they are involved. Other inspector carries out. Once inspector carries out inspection, backfilling may be done and contractor is relieved of contract clause operation responsibility due to life due to its being a success. For water supply and drainage, statutory bylaws are different. Similarly, satisfactory coordination should be made for cubicle pipes and units and kitchen equipments with finishing items such as tilting, any special flooring, or items match architectural. Similarly, air conditioning and electrical, if that is finishing item in services, would be dealt with finishes of building. I'll go through now external services, external works. I am not considering at this stage other services. I'm not considering coordination with building management, with LPG, with digital and CCTV and many others. You can say SCADA, for example. I'm not. These are all advanced ones which are not used on buildings particularly. Nowadays only CCTV is used. That's also very nominal. 1 camera, 2 camera, 3 camera, 4 camera, like that. And that's not very complicated one. Hence, we have to understand basically that will be used during structural construction, which are coming in way. Those who can be used later on, in some cases you have to just put your wiring only. So that's not a big deal. As far as drying is concerned, you can use that. I think it should be long, better for everybody, because this question of, you can say, it's the dissemination of information, a kind of CPD, continuous professional development, and also useful for everybody. External services. External services include sewerage, water, stormwater drainage, water supply to buildings, irrigation to landscapings, telephone ducts, electrical ducts, fire fighting pipes and hydrants, connections to septic tanks or containments, connections from substations to internal transformers, connection in substations, external electrifications, etc. So many others. External works include hard and soft landscape, service roads, sports complex or courts and their surfacings, games fields, security fencings, service yards, boundary walls, gates, steps, swimming pools. Three pits where trees are active. Special works, minor auxiliary buildings, namely substations, guardhouses, workshops, worship building, pump houses, underground water storage tanks, walkways, pergolas, and sheds, external lighting poles, but not least, there could be whatever else. All underground pipe works should be carried out prior to any of above items. All foundations should be finished before start of external piping system. Remember, many services run underground externally, for which proper coordination is a must, and many deviations would occur. For example, In drawing, water line and electrical cable may be shown at same section, but it's impossible, and a deviation must be done to shift electrical cable. Two services pipes may strike each other. It should be avoided. Proper surrounding to network should be done to avoid cracking in future when traffic is put on. Inner level has actually is an old typing as you will read. Inner level inner levels have to be relative to finished ground level. Inner levels have to be related to finished ground level and many times adjusted due to raising or lowering entire area of land. Remember, initial survey on basis of which drawings are prepared might have been carried out in past, but due to window movements or surface could be dune or eroded. New level must have been adopted in case of structural details as well as mentioned in structural or structural coordination. You should consider enough time in program network chart for completion of external works to maintain a practicable rate of progress. Sometimes what happens that part of services passing in your area are in contract of other areas, other contractors in same site, say infrastructure main contractor. In that case, you have to wait till that guy carries out his job. But just awaiting his execution, merely you cannot solve the problem. There must be a clause in your contract specification that coordination with other contractors working on this project is contractor's responsibility. In that case, you are bound to coordinate with, say, site agent of that contractor in records. So apprise main agent responsible of your program to let him alter his program according to your requirement and better if done in presence of consulting engineers. Nevertheless, progress of your coordination should be regularly informed to resident engineer so that if you approach him for help, he may easily persuade other contractor to extend help to you. But keep records for your protection. There can be a possibility that electrical cables are to be provided by other contractor up to terminals of your distribution board, and therefore comes to scope of your work. You make sure that this operation is carried out by that contractor as soon as possible, properly coordinated to your electrical contractor's trades program, or else you have to face your subcontractor carrying and raising claims for delay of activities. Now, there must be a clause in your contract, I repeat, specifications that coordination with other contractors working on this project is contractor's responsibility. In that case, you are bound to coordinate with that person, site agent of that contractor in regards. Apprise main agent responsible of your program to let him alter his program according to your requirement and better if done in presence of consulting engineers. Nevertheless, progress of your coordination should be regularly monitored and informed to resident engineer so that if you approach him for help, he may easily persuade other contractor to extend help to you. But keep records for your protection. There can be a possibility that electrical cables are to be provided by other contractor up to terminals of your distribution board, and therefrom comes in your scope. You make sure that this operation is carried out by that contractor as soon as possible, properly coordinated to your electrical contractors trades program, or else you have to face your subcontractor crying and raising claims for delay of activities, and you shall find a letter to your office that electricians are withdrawn temporarily due to non-availability of clear sight, and consequently you shall be hammered by your head office. To avoid this problem, better study services drawings yourself, keep contact with your subcontractors foreman, try to persuade infrastructure contractor, apprise resident engineer and consultant. This way you can get the job done. Keeping infrastructure contractor think of your being vigilant, or that contractor may have to face claims from your office. This type of job requires coordinated management. Maybe your site engineers think that you are always found in different offices taking a cup of tea and coffee all time and of no use to company, but those innocents are not acquainted of contract clauses, in negligence of which may cause your company a lot, and you may be fired in that case. Try to grasp as much as you can in all disciplines, notwithstanding young being a civil engineer or a structural engineer or being architect even. Since overall responsibility rests on shoulders of site agent, you are superintending head in charge of project site to do a job, and this is part of overall superintendence. This is just an example, but it can be same sense applied to other infrastructural services too. Sometimes external infrastructure services do not form part of your contract, but other external works as external infrastructure services mentioned do. In that case, commence your operations, you have to match your program either to infrastructure contractor program, or in case infrastructure contractor comes subsequent to your contract, then you have to ask that contractor to go away of your program for that particular coverage of job. All external levels of manholes, soakways, water chambers, electric manholes, or so-called draw pits, etc., should be flush with finished external levels, and invert levels should be calculated accordingly, except in unfinished areas, say grass or lawns, when top level shall be kept raised. Sometimes there can be infrastructural services below, sport surface or games fields which is never horizontal but in gradient both ways. Then services infrastructure units should be dealt accordingly. Now it's a relation to statutory bodies. Relation to statutory bodies, or you make a coordination to statutory bodies. At time of taking over site, you have to request resident engineer to provide you an authority letter addressed to statutory bodies for supplying you record drawings or as-built drawings of site for your use. You shall also write to these departments independently informing that you have started works on that site according to contract and building permit reference. You may sure you make sure that all record drawings are in your possession before commencing activities of excavations to avoid damaging existing services, and it must be remembered that particularly excavation shall be a specific responsibility in duties of site agent. Agent should have Agent should have to take care of shall have to take care of value form. Value form as included in contract forms which was leave value. I have to define value. Value Value is a distance required to be left between government existing properties or state existing properties and your building exteriors. Should your extreme point come in between two limits, it is the responsibility of agent to intimate resident engineer and request to decide what to do, and at the same time contact concerned department for remedial action. Even if consultants and resident engineer approve setting out of building, contractor shall not be relieved of responsibility for same, as that shall be considered a civil crime. Contractor shall all time be aware of real location of site. To be called a site agent looks very pleasing but very difficult to succeed. In some countries, should the existing services be damaged during excavations, heavy penalties are imposed on contractors for rectifications of services. Similarly, as said earlier, agents shall coordinate to statutory departments throughout contract time, and resident engineer kept turns informed of what outcome are. On important projects, as build drawings are revised and half yearly you should know alternate alterations from site record drawings when are updated. Objectionable materials per bylaws cannot be included in job, should also be license. Come to know, immediately inform resident engineer so that corrective steps be taken in time, and alteration or eliminations or alternative employed. Once again, I say objectionable materials per bylaws cannot be included in job, should you be by chance know immediately inform resident engineer so that corrective steps be taken in time, and alterations or alternatives employed. Structural. I am just giving complete coordination system for understanding. I know people do not do there. People are very big here in our country. They do not care for anything, but my duty is to tell. Structural. It looks ridiculous, but you're talking of structural. But factually, you face in field, for example, contract says that you have to take foundations up to a hard stratum of specified bearing capacity. Excavations reveal that same be either available at lesser depth or at extra depth as shown. Now there may be anything shown in drawing. In drawings for case of being at extra depth, then specified you shall carry extra excavation till required bearing capacity is achieved or reached and adjust level in foundations accordingly. But when case is reverse, that you are meeting specified bearing capacity at lesser excavation, intelligent and practical resident engineer shall ask to raise formation levels in foundations to save for honor. In that case, you shall have to adjust all levels in foundations and propose for approval. Adjustment shall be applied to formation level, top of building blinding concrete level, top of footing levels, bottom of strip footing, beam level or time of step beams they call it, top of stub columns and depth of block or brick well to be constructed between ground floor slab and top of slab beam. Protection of waterproofing level, if provided, also be certified. Certified services pipes as case B. These proposals shall be approved before start of building concrete in foundation. Site agent shall get this done at an earliest to avoid wastage of time. If that is delayed, the agent shall bear same. Now liaison. Liaison. The drop of water. That's very cold, but sticky, Liaison, main contractor and subcontractor. This is number one. Then this license, main contractor, subcontractor, and also subcontractors and subcontractors, main contractor and resident engineer and engineer, contractor, other main contractor, main contractor, local statutory bodies, main contractor, engineer. These are license points. We'll explain one by one. Number one, is my listing. Main contractor and subcontractor. It's very essential to keep process of updating and exchanging informations regarding development of on both ends, both sides. Material submittals, shop working drawing submittals made by subcontractors to main contractor, often office must be promptly endorsed for forwarding submittals to resident engineer duly scrutinized by contractor regarding conformation of contents to specifications in contract. Let me repeat, it's long sentence. Very essential to keep process of updating and exchanging informations regarding development on both sides. Material submittals, shop working drawings, Submittals made by subcontractors to main contractor office must be promptly endorsed for forwarding submittals to resident engineer duly scrutinized by contractor regarding confirmation of contents to specifications in contract. Just think of what I'm saying. When you start something in status in international world, what happens? Contractor and subcontractors are working together. They are a team. It's not that they're enemies because contract is awarded to main contractor. Subcontractor is elected, selected by contractor and approved by resident engineer. But both are working together. Legal responsibility is shared by main contractor, while working responsibility is shared by subcontractor. Because subcontractor is generally very small person, very small company, main contractor is very big company. main contract is bound by government, while subcontract is also bound by government, but through main contractor. So there are certain submissions. Works are not done without approval of materials, without approval of shop of working drawings and statements, method statement or whatever else. It is very important to coordinate together, because if you are not ready, main contractor as main contractor and subcontractor is not ready, nothing happens. That person doesn't give you details what he wants to work, what material that he is going to provide or install, or you can say include, and what sort of drawing, what sort of designs they use, because services are specifically designed for execution purpose. These are not available on main drawings. Main drawings are only schematic. You have to convert them to whatever material you are using. According to that, you have to do that. And whatever codes say, international codes and national codes are also very important. Or whatever convention says, that is what is required. That's what I'm talking here. If your subcontract is delayed, you are delayed and project is delayed. That's what it's talking about. It's very important. Similarly, submittals shall be received back, approved from resident engineer, rejected or approved with comments from resident engineers or engineer's office, having been scrutinized by resident engineer and specialist engineers employed in that office. Sometimes to save time, and submittals which are finally recommended for approval are only forwarded to engineer for grant of approved, while those rejected are returned back to contractor directly. Contractor's agent should act promptly on these return submittals and put them in process of posting to related subcontractors with covering letter on contractor's pad commenting about submittals and instructing subcontractor to act promptly either for resubmission or for incorporating comments and resubmission for taking necessary action by placement of orders, etc., or issue required prints of approved drawings and distribution purpose, while contractor should maintain a posting records with it. Should submittal be suppressed by agent due to carelessness, overall effect shall be negative on project. Shall be negative on contents, items to be placed in procurement process or in carrying works out from working drawings. Per existing practice, main contractor instructs subcontractors to issue 6 prints of each approved shop drawing, sealing on that approved seal, which shall be endorsed by resident engineer, specialist engineers, and then distributed by agent to site engineers, subcontractor and resident engineers accordingly. But I don't think this happens here. No, it doesn't matter, I'm talking of practice. Agent shall send copy of main construction program to each of subcontractors. I'm talking of program. Bar chart, you can say. Agent shall send a copy of construction program, main construction program, or you can say level 1 program to each of subcontractors to let them fill or fit in respective trade program and be appraised of time to commence mobilization. Having received program copies, that should be sent to resident engineer for approval by main contractor after scrutiny. Agent shall receive site memorandums during progress of works regarding subcontract items. Should agent think that reply of memo is out of contractor's scope, should promptly post same to subcontractor's office under cover of office, instructing subcontractor to act in time for taking necessary action depending on urgency of memorandum contents. Contents can relate to work being carried out, to deficiency of submittals, or miscellaneous nature like action on minutes of meeting, etc., not taken in time. Apart from resident engineer and his staff pressing subcontractor for works progress, it shall be prime duty of agent to pursue and instruct all subcontractors to meet requirements of all expectations, demands according to contract, and press on its engineers as well to clear site for continuation of subcontractors' operations. Even then, if subcontractor does not come to right tracks, then agent's duty to notify to head office or contracts manager recommending necessary action, and if himself is authorized to do so, that he should not hesitate. After that, agent should instruct subcontractors responsible representative on site to provide daily returns regarding manpower, workforce, material arrived, progress, etc., and request guide to prepare inspection request pro formas in advance to be sent to resident engineer's office for approval. For example, the RCC slab is going to be ready for pouring. Agent should take care that inspections request sheets regarding electrical, air conditioning, plumbing and drainage, blockouts and miscellaneous services along with building inspection requests in all are sent to resident engineer quite in advance for conditions in contract to facilitate proper inspection of all disciplines being carried out and remedial works attended to if any pointed out by resident engineer and specialist engineers to avoid unnecessary delay to slab concrete. Agents should call frequently technical and coordination meetings with subcontractors regarding all as explained earlier and record minutes of meeting duly circulated to all and resident engineers. This shall impart an impression of agent being a good controller of job and resident engineer and consultants help him fully as burden of their own shall reduce to some extent. Will find representatives taunting on you in amusement that this agent is a problem but don't worry and frankly reply that it is nothing to do in person. Coordination with subcontractors summarily described as travel of mutual information regarding developments in time and no lapse shall be accepted. Agent should himself take enough pain to check all activities of services going on and from time to time. Interrogate foremen on site to know what is ongoing, shall go, and what are problems on site. Shall let you know everything even if subcontractors engineers sometimes shall hide. This information shall assist you to pull subcontractor, but take care that this relation should be secret or gentle foreman may have to face loss of trust of his boss, that is electrical or mechanical engineers of subcontractors. These foremen guys and even on can help you a lot should you have enough diplomatic tactics in tracing assistance you are searching for. Team should be cohesive in principle and practical too on site, but an agent should be shrewd with eyes in all directions. Apart from approved subcontractors of major disciplines of allied services, you shall have to engage different types of minor subcontractors, of course, approved by engineer. For them, selection should be made in time to facilitate timely approval. Such subcontractors may be swimming pools subcontractor for design of system construction and installations, kitchen equipment subcontractors, sports equipment subcontractor, roofing subcontractor, decorative works of ornamental nature such as GRC panels in form of geometrical arches or design of motifs for floor carpeting works for special flooring, rubber granulate flooring, sports space flooring, special wall linings for special timber lining works in walls and ceilings, metal works, glass wall lining for courts, sports court surfacings, swash courts plastering, X-ray rooms, plastering, maple floors, etc., but not least. This depends on type of organization main contractor possesses or runs. Some have big organizations and they carry out most of works elements of contract themselves, while some do, letting many parts of contract to subcontractors. Whatever be case, responsibility of that site agent remains same. Number two, subcontractor through main contractor. Sometimes certainly situation arises that site agent shall have to permit various subcontractors dealing particularly electrical and mechanical equipments to exchange technical information among themselves when agent is too busy to spare time subject to availability of outcome to him in time. Seldom Seldom agent shall decide technical and design aspects in said connections, but his remaining fully informed is a must for coordination purposes. Maybe he is asked a question in site meeting when none of services engineers be present there. Agent shall be supposed to reply all matters put or raised being responsible for job, but should all subcontractors exchange details themselves to save time of all related persons and avoid paperwork in correspondences. After that, number three, main contractor, resident engineer and engineer coordination. This is full-time coordination process from beginning till completion, and this shall start immediately after receipt of contract award letter by main contractor from engineer. Most of these coordinational duties would be performed by company's agent, and that is maybe site diary involving daily job record, inspections, activities carried out, activities completed, plans, any special remark, etc., materials and drawings, submittals, and pursuances for approvals, programs, progress report, and review, proposal, architectural and structural, and miscellaneous meetings, site memos, site instructions, engineers' instructions, valuations, coordinated drawings, as-built drawings, and records, test results, samples, concrete, pouring records, material status, drawings, submittals, and approval status, etc. Apart from these practical coordination, namely, agent shall finalize difficulties coming in way during execution of job, either himself or through resident engineer, and shall propose alternatives subject to specified standards and get them approved by resident engineer and engineer. Whenever asked by resident engineer, shall make method statements available to him for approval, and for some activity falling in doubt of resident engineer or specialist engineer. In case agent discovers some technical flaw in drawings which may lead to unsuccessful maintenance or functioning or working of building, shall immediately bring that to notice of resident engineer. In consequence of that, there may be a change in engineer's details for that part. Coordination of allied services are done through main contractor, and agent shall coordinate all them, as same is covered under this title. Explanation of how documents would be worked out shall be given under responsibility of company's agent. Contractor, other main contractor. As explained, agent shall keep updated coordination with other contractors working on same overall project, and particularly those related to his job. Infrastructural contractors shall excavate roads frequently and bar some portion of road access at various sections. Similarly, other building contractors may be executing portion of various buildings, and technical advice must be exchanged. Should other contractor wish to know about agent's job drawings or some technical information, agent shall be contractually bound to provide with that to gear up cooperation. Agent may obtain circulars from the resident engineer from time to time regarding road closures, joint meetings with other contractors working on same site regarding programs on which agent shall be supposed to act promptly. Agent shall seek approval of head office should cost of project be affected or contract variation is involved. Agent shall not accept decisions that add to delay of contract. Every contractor wants to help other to help self, and this motto should be maintained. Can borrow some machine or material in urgency, and similarly may cooperate in a number of ways to contribute to contracts positively. Agents should try to promote good working relations on project site. Agent shall formulate rules himself how to deal, as there is no hard and fast set procedure but naturally gifted common sense, and no complex of inferiority or of superiority, but attempt to excess of professional cooperation and standards. May visit office of other contractors and in turn invite them to its own office, as matter of knowing each other more. This attitude shall result in avoiding harsh letters, and let agent come to know how resident engineer and his staff treat that contractor. Should agent find difference or different and polite and favorable treatment toward that contractor by his resident engineer and his staff, agent may discuss and request same treatment towards its company. But this should be reflected in a friendly manner. Once everybody on site from different organizations know each other, you shall definitely find job running smooth, provided agent's control on his own organization is very well gripped, equipped, and they listen to what you speak. Please refer to electrical, mechanical, engineering, plumbing, and drainage coordinations for additional explanations. Now, its main contractor local statutory bodies number 5. Explained earlier, as a matter of contract clause operation, agent shall be bound to advise local water supply, drainage, electricity departments, telephone departments, etc., and any other service necessarily mentioned in contract that contract work of particular reference awarded by letter number such and such has been commenced on site by appointed contractor. Agent shall also request for issue of all records, drawings of contract area at earliest to avoid any damage to existing infrastructure. Agent shall move for conditions of contract regarding obtaining approvals of working drawings and parts of contract for which approval of concerned department is essential, inform related authorities in time so that work be done under their approval. In case agent finds that existing services are being encroached by contract drawings and necessarily to be rerouted by statutory departments, that shall also be done by contacting required official, and if required under law, charges shall be paid to statutory body for that diversion. Remember, breaking or causing any damage to existing services or property of government shall be announced to an offence, and contractor be liable for imposition of severe penalty, for which agent shall be held responsible and may be fired. Clearance shall also be obtained from related departments by agent in form of no objection certificates for provision of supplies to building services. Now, main contractor and engineer, this is different small. In case agent shall have to write regarding a matter involving contract legal implications, that should be addressed to engineer only and copy circulated to resident engineer. Control of legal standing matters shall be done by engineer, and resident engineer shall be responsible for technical coordinations and implementations of decisions as taken by engineer and practical supervision of contract works. In fact, resident engineer is in layout levels of engineers organizations comes on same level as agent in contractors organization. All claims regarding extras be forwarded to engineer and copies to resident engineer, that shall help resident engineer to assess advance and respond to engineer when asked for. Similarly, all other claims such as extension of times, unforeseen circumstances, non-payments, delayed payments, employer's defaults, major changes required in specifications should be addressed to engineer and copied to resident engineer. Now I'm coming to different one, and that is what a contractor's agent is supposed to do. I'm just going to only forwarding para and then I'll stop in the next one. As designation indicates that person engaged as an agent shall represent contractor or contracting company on project site and must do what a contractor shall do. In fact, contractor is a businessman and shall like to make maximum profit and delivering good quality of job expected of contract. Agent should not work according to what salary he is drawing, but realize value of successful performance which shall always be credited in profession. Every every eye working for project shall be watching performance of a new agent, so he must be careful. An agent should be a director, an administrator, a commander on workforce and staff, a guide to his subordinates, executives, namely project coordinators, site engineers, deputy and sub-agents, general foremen, assistant engineers, junior engineers, land surveyors, quantity surveyors, and general administrative personnel, and should have capacity to use his technical skills if required from time to time. Must have a business mind. 2. In case contractor doesn't employ a contracts manager above level of agent, head office expects agent to report directly to owner. In that case, agent shall need some enough market ideas. He has then to select subcontractors, suppliers himself. It's of course cumbersome job but very essential. Remember, agent may be salaried one plus a partner in profit percentage, and hence it then its own interest how much he can earn. Agent must be energetic, dynamic, physically and mentally patient, diplomatic, administratively strong, good coordinator, a good corresponder, convincing, a good leader, a sympathetic person to solve workers' problems and see that injustice is not done to anyone. To see salaries and other payments are made in time, to see that all safety measures are being adopted to prevent accidents, to see transport is available in time to carry workers to their camp, to see that they are not sick seriously, to see that sufficient messes exist, drinking water available on site as well as in camp, to allow them leave when due or as requested, to send wage bill in time and all other duties expected of an agent to perform. Remember, if persons working on site are not happy, healthy and harmonious working atmosphere not be built as labor politics shall be highly likely outcome in all cases. Also to remember that good agent shall be respected by all. You cannot just command respect by face all time. Apply face in rare cases, but people should fear by looking at you. This is what I tried to explain about role of a practical person who handles a project from scratch to finished delivery for company, for honor, which involves very responsible position and very hardworking positions. In fact, such person must be a practical engineer, a practical foreman, a practical laborer, a practical self-motivator, and a practical consultant, practical thinker, and top administrator, because project can vary in sizes from smallest to biggest. Project means delivery of project. It means compliance of designs, compliance of quality, compliance of safety, and compliance of codes, and whatever is possible according to contract documents, everything must be done. And it's not one day job, it's continuation of job, continuation of problems, continuation of solutions, and use and abuse of all activities. Because on projects it's not one man job, hundreds of workers are there, thousands of workers are there, and hundreds of staff, or maybe I don't know, it depends upon what sort of project is that. You have to deal at all levels. It's not simply your manager, you are manager, you are engineer, you are administrator, you are purchaser, and all that, your human relations, you are everything. You have to think on everything. That is what it is. Means delivery is very important. Design is one part. Anybody can design, and design should be constructible. That's also important. It's only site people who convert design into construction, and it depends upon what best design is. There may be very complicated design, but it cannot be implemented. There can be very good design which cannot be implemented, but there can be a design which is called constructible design, which can be implemented easily. That type of design is expected of designers, and those designers can deliver that when they are well experienced. If they are only theoretical or only having pride that they have such degrees and that degrees, that do not count anything. And it doesn't depend on computers as well, because we have computer can design. Okay, you can design something, but it should you should know what is difficulty on site. That is most important. I'll continue next video, because this is there are so many videos to be like that for project management. I have delivered before safety, HSC videos, and this will continue. And of course, these are very boring topics. It's not very enjoying topics. You have to be patient. I cannot, even software, I have put URLs of various documents which are available, but this book is not available in soft one, which I wrote long back in 92. I started writing this, and it took me 4 years that time to write this, and because there are many sketches and many, so it's not possible now. This book was not given well reception in those days because people are not interested. I don't care about that. Purpose was dissemination of knowledge, and whatever knowledge you get, you can disseminate for purpose of professional development, purpose of society, and that was only purpose. With this, I close this. Thank you very much. Hope you find it okay.